we had a affinity for investing in real estate and either flipping homes or doing holds and whatever. And he had been in the game a lot longer than I, so he had some really cool things to teach me in the way of creative financing and all this stuff. So everybody's always asking, your hair looks beautiful, by the way. It looks like nice. So we really just want to get a feel for what the audience wants to learn about. So if you guys can tell us a couple things that you're hoping to take away from this class, because we can talk about anything. We can talk about working with investors. We can talk about being investors, how to find financing, whatever you want. This can be a really interactive, open forum kind of class where you can just shout out questions. We are not formal whatsoever, but we definitely want to make sure that we bring the information that you guys came for. So what are some topics that you'd like us to address while we're here? Man, the red really sticks.
I really wanted to make sure that message was received.
I do also want to start before you take off. The third Wednesday at 1 o'clock of every month, we meet at 1 o'clock. And it's not a class, it's an investment club where you just meet, and you do not have to be a real estate agent. So if you have customers that want to learn or talk,
and we share vendors, like people who are looking for great flooring guides. We share ideas. If we have a project we're working on, we can kind of mastermind it together. It's really, come on out, girl. It's just kind of a mastermind where we all collectively share our knowledge. It's really cool. How many people you got coming to that regularly?
it varies, but we have about 16 on average, 15.
Awesome.
Where do you meet?
And South,
Suburban Tampa.
Suburban Tampa. Okay.
The big glass building in Valrico.
It's
So
on
it
the
is-
second floor, just come
It is
in.
about 30 minutes from here, but it's one of our sister brother offices, whatever you want to call it. And you guys have free reign to go there anytime. Hey, one of our agents from there came down. Kristen, come on up. We were just talking about the investor club that meets over at your office. Yes. So, and we are very inclusive at that office. You will be received with open arms. We just love sharing knowledge.
Which time is it on Wednesday?
1 o'clock. It's the
1 o'clock.
first or third.
Third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday, 1 o'clock, probably the training room, right?
Yeah.
Second floor, all are welcome to attend, and it's really just, if you know nothing about investing, or if you're, avid investor, all are welcome.
And it's like if you have deals but don't have the money, or you have money, don't have the deals, we sort of pair you up. If you want to know how to buy properties without going to a bank, you can do it that way. If you want to buy properties, what we call subject to lease options, lease purchase, we cover everything, and it's each time is a little different. We're actually even talking about stocks, when buying stocks, because when things go down, that's when sometimes you want to buy, and we just have a little chit chat about it. So it's a fun thing. It tends to be more of a class, but it's supposed to be a club, so we all chip in and we all pitch in and have fun, right?
Yeah.
I've been to many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I won't miss one.
Yeah, it's awesome because you just never know what you're going to take away from it. And you can go in completely uneducated on anything to do with investing, and you won't feel out of place. Like, I know nothing about investing in the stock market, but they've taught me a bunch, and still waiting to implement that. So let's start with some things that you guys might want to take away from this class, just to make sure we hit on all the topics. Just shout them out.
Why are you here?
Why?
Let's make it easy. What are you?
I want to hear about creative financing and maybe ways of strategic ways of being non-traditional investment.
Okay. Love it. That's one of the best things Ken ever taught me.
I just want to be able to identify what is a good investment versus a bad investment.
Okay.
Return on investment versus, okay,
Best way to find them.
finding projects.
This is a great class.
Right? It's exactly what I have written down perfectly. Hey, come on in. Hey, honey.
Rental properties versus fix and flips as far as profit goes.
Analyzing the project. Perfect.
What was the location of, I have the time and the date. What's the location of the club you said?
It's 2350 State Road 60.
East State Road 60. You don't want to end up down by the mall. I don't think I stopped analyzing.
Knowing which is a good investment, like knowing what to look for.
Okay, what to look for in an investment. So finding homes, how criteria, basically. Perfect.
You know, I left my tablet in my car.
Yeah, go get it.
I walked all the way over there and I was like, crap, gotta go around. So
It's hot outside.
I gotta get my tablet.
Yeah, take your time. Anything else or, hey, come on in. If you guys think of questions along the way, don't hesitate to just shout them out, okay? More energy, the more interactive we are, the more we learn.
You can sit here. Just
I'll
don't
take
break
your
my
cheaters
coffee.
down here for you, old man. All right. Okay, cool. So Ken, first of all, I think we should start off with a quick, like, what's a short sale? Just in case people might not have gone through those. What are like kind of the criteria you look for in analyzing a short sale so you can tell whether it's going to be a quick thing or a long thing, and then versus a foreclosure. So you got into the market when short sales were like everything, like they were just starting, right? So if you were to approach a listing and it was a short sale on the market, what are the things you would look at?
Well, I've done over 200 short sales.
Mhm.
So
That's why
after
we're
one-
asking you.
So what I changed was my approach. I wouldn't just go to a house with a short sale. I actually, in the beginning, it's going, where'd Josh go? Josh,
Yeah.
Josh called me up to sell his house. He wants to do a short sale. Okay, I'm gonna send you some paperwork. I need you to fill this out, get it ready. As soon as it's filled out, I'll come and meet you. It was everything that the bank needed, the bank wanted and had to have. If he couldn't fill that out now, you know, it's like, you know, when you go to a listing, you're dating, you're really just trying to check out, do you like this partner? Do you want to list a house? Do they want to list with you? Same thing with them. If they're not willing to fill out this paperwork, they're not going to do it later when it starts getting rough. In the beginning, if they'll fill it out, then I'm willing to meet with them, because it's amazing on how many people at that time would bury their head in the sand going, I'll get out of this short sale one way or the other, until it was too late and the bank would take it or boot them out.
Because they don't pay their mortgage while they're living there with a short sale. So sometimes they're not that motivated to get out. And I would approach it from the buyer's side, because I did buyers on short sales a lot, and he was a listing specialist. So he would get the listing and have the short sale. Now I have a buyer that's looking at that short sale. Well, I want to set expectations. Is this going to be a 2-year relationship between us, or can we get this done in 30 days? So there's a couple things you look at.
Yeah, so when I was working with them, I'd get them to fill out the paperwork, handle the listing. A short sale is nothing more than you owe more than what the house is worth. If you bought a car recently, they sold you gap insurance. And right, gap insurance is saying you're paying more than you should. That's what gap insurance is. They don't word it that way. It's you're paying more than you should because you need now coverage, because when that car's wrecked, your insurance isn't going to pay that much. Same with a house. When you get a house and you buy a house, instead of having an NADA book, they have to send an appraiser out to appraise the house. At the time that it appraises, they'll loan you the money. Well, if the value goes down and you owe more, that's technically you're upside down. And if you have to sell, it's a short sale, or you bring money. And most people won't bring money. So you ask the bank to forgive the difference. And that's all a short sale is that you owe more than what it's worth because the market took a hit and you got to move. You got to move back to Georgia for whatever reason.
Come on in.
All right. And that's a short sale. It doesn't mean that you can't afford it. It just means you're upside down. A lot of people assume that they can't afford it. They could. It's just if you have to move. Military people, they had the short sale problem.
So the reason I'm telling you this is that foreclosures are up a little bit. And so people that start the process of foreclosure, like they get the lease pendants, you can approach these people before they get too far into it and say, hey guys, have you thought of a short sale? Here's what it looks like. We can get the package from the bank. If you suffered a hardship, well, 2020 gave us all a hardship. And we find out what you owe on the house, what we could sell it for now, and then we ask the bank to forgive this. You have to fill out this packet. So when you're looking at,
You have to show hardship.
you have to show the hardship. So when you're looking at listings and you start seeing short sales come up, all you need to look for is this. You call the listing agent. Hey, is this a negotiated or is this a bank approved price? Or is this your first initial listing? Because the bank won't negotiate with you until you bring them a price that the market's willing to pay. So if you're like, well, hey bank, what will you take for this? They're like, bring us an offer. So you'll see a short sale go out with a low price and you're like, that's crazy, it's such a good deal. They're trying to get an offer so that they can get the bank to tell them what they'll accept. So perfectly fine. When you call the listing agent, is it the bank approved price or your initial list price? Okay, now I know what we're playing with. Now I can tell my buyers, look, you're not going to get it for this price probably. They're going to come back with their counter offer. You're going to look to see if it's professionally negotiated. I would not do a short sale that's not being professionally negotiated. Hillsborough Title has a program that does it for free because they can sit on the phone for 5 hours to get to the people they need to talk to. You don't have time to do that as agents. I would ask them, are these people actually interested in moving out? Do they want to sell this home or are they just riding this out to get a free place to live for a while? Are they cooperative?
And that's why I send the paperwork early, because if
Exactly.
they're the person that just wants to stay in the house for 2 years and they're using you as a leverage, I don't need the listing, I'm good. I'm looking for someone that really needs help in moving.
And the final question I ask is, the person who's negotiating, who's paying for that? Because a lot of times people will use lawyers and all that stuff, and it can be $3,000. So then you can say, well, hey, guess what? I have someone who does it for free. Let's call Hillsborough Title. So those are the things that I look at with the short sale. I've closed them in as quick as 21 days. I've closed some that took 2 years. So it's all, none of it matters. It's just giving you the ability to set the expectation with your clients. Yeah.
Or when we get the paperwork.
They have to contact their lender and you have to say, look, you might have a better solution to that.
Yeah, to me, if you want to write it down, it's 2 months bank statements, 2 months of payroll to show how much they make. It's a letter saying why. And I tell them right up front, when you're writing the letter, it's your bank's a jerk, you won't work with me. That's not why. The why is I'm moving, I got a divorce, I grew a family, keep it simple.
Grew a family.
Right, you know.
Grew them in my backyard.
I did grow a family, we have to get a bigger house. Whatever the reason is, that's a short sale, or I lost my job, or I got transferred. Keep it short, simple. That's all they want is a hardship why. Then they need 2 years of tax returns. Those, and if you get all that, that's really all the bank needs. And then if you can get a POA, power of attorney, to talk to the bank for your customer, then you're ahead of the game.
And an email, power of attorney.
You need a form, power of attorney.
It's
They
a
have to get a
legal document that's, yeah.
And then turn that into the bank. In the past, it would take almost 2 weeks before they would even reply that they got the paperwork, because there were so many going on. And then they'll start talking, negotiating. They will not talk to the seller because the seller's already in a pinch. Sometimes you have to get a third-party letter saying the buyer is not related to the seller, or they have no knowledge of each other. Because sometimes that rich uncle would buy the house and then let them,
Stay
niece
there.
and nephew stay again.
Yeah.
So, and that's all it took. It didn't, and then it just took time and presence. And if there was 2 mortgages on the house, it took forever.
Because
then you
now
got
you
2
have
banks.
more banks that have to agree who to take less, right? So
But other than that, it's not a big deal. It's just a time consuming. And again, like Hillsborough does it for free for you. There's other people that do it. You can do the first few. I ran as many as 50 active listings of short sales, because that was all my business was short sales.
and here's the reason I drill it into people. A lot of agents got the stigma that short sales are so bad and I just won't work those. Cool, I will. So when short sales and foreclosures become a thing, be one of those agents that if you go in with the information on how to do it, it's not hard. It's just most agents didn't know how to do it. So those are opportunities that most people will not do. And it's also the ability to lead generate for listings that they may be suffering on their mortgage payment. And rather than letting them go down the tubes, let's just talk about it with no shame or anything like that, right? So, cool. Yeah.
In regards to, I guess, lead genning for short sales, what is the most responsive way? Like, what is the best way to get responses from?
I never lead generated for short sales. After you do one for somebody, I'm gonna keep pointing to you, man. His friends and family knew what he's going through and they would call me. I got more, I never had to lead generate for a short sale.
How do
Shouldn't-
you know it's all, what do you mean? So,
Well, it's a
Referral, they
referral
refer
business.
him.
They just, you know, he called me or he found out about me. We did a deal, we knocked it out. He didn't have to bring money to the table. I made sure that he got to take care of his house and take care of his family, whatever he needed to do. And then his friends and family are going through the same thing and they were referrals to me. So my business
Maybe
was
a
nothing,
seminar.
mine was nothing but referrals,
Then
nothing
you
but.
get 1 or 2 and then they start referring all their friends.
Yeah.
We had
Oh, sorry.
At one point, I actually had a bank come to me where they did a weird loan. And then they got sued and they had to get rid of the loans. And they came to me that I had to go, they let me knock on their doors and say, the bank is willing to get rid of this loan if you're willing to do it, we'll automatically accept it. It was approved in 14 days. That lasted about 9 months because, you know, I did so many, so you go and knock on the door and say, hey, if you want to get rid of your house, we can do it. The bank's willing to work with you.
And you can even still use that scripting now. Hey, if you need to get out of, if you're underwater in your house and you need to sell, I have creative ways that the bank will work with you, because they usually will.
They will. You can buy those lists, Liz Pendon lists,
Mhm.
but you can also find them on your own. But Liz Pendon means, and I'll put layman's
It's the
terms,
first step of a foreclosure. And it
it's a
can take-
public knowledge.
Mhm.
It's the state saying John Doe hasn't made a payment and the bank wants their loan.
And if you go on clerk of court, you can see if someone receives, you can look at neighborhoods and whatever and see if they have a lease pendants. That means they got a letter that says you're behind on your mortgage.
I think
And I-
Green Line shows
You
Liz
can pull it up
Pendants.
on the MLS too.
Yeah.
Just start with your good taxes and there's a box.
In the tax thing, yeah, lease pendants, that's the first step, and that can take 2 years from there, so that gives you plenty of time to short sell it.
But I was just trying to figure out, is it appropriate to call them or not?
Just realize
It's sensitive, right?
it's a very sensitive topic. So knocking on someone's door and saying, hey, I understand you're
Right.
delinquent.
It's all in your approach.
It
There's a
is.
lot of shame that goes along with it, but there doesn't have to be, you know, like if you approach it in like, hey, I know we're all struggling since 2020. I've become well versed in how to get people out of their situation. It's happened to all of us. Can I bring you some information that might alleviate some financial pressures?
I have to admit, we all get a aha out of a class. I have just learned my aha.
What?
Camera does that like 20 pounds to you.
I hate you so much.
Oh,
You know what else?
no, I am
A
huge.
Chinese buffet.
God, I
Right before.
green. I can't even look over there anymore.
I'm like, who eats a Chinese buffet before they have to eat flat?
Ken does. Mercedes has a question.
So which one goes?
Hey, I just wanted, I guess, a quick synopsis, okay? Because I was doing lease payments for a while, but then I kind of got out of it. So, okay, so you call, bring information, your way of doing it is to go ahead and let them know this is the best way to go about it. Do you mind going ahead and bringing this, see if you can find this information,
Yeah,
right?
and then I'll come
Then-
meet with you.
Okay, you meet with them, you get the information, take it with you,
Me
make
personally,
copies or what?
I tried to list Pendon for a little while. I only did it a couple months. Majority of them say, don't worry, I'm getting out. I've got it fixed. The majority. So it's like, okay, fine.
Got
And
it.
then there were other ones that cut, hey, I need to do something, okay, because the bank is foreclosed. That was the other. I wanted the ones in between. Oh, I don't have a problem too, I got a problem, but it's too late.
Yeah.
As soon as they file a court date, you're wasting your time almost. Then I would send the paperwork to them, fill this out, and that's when we'll meet. Because if they don't do the paperwork, they're not really
They're not
ready. And if they're not ready, I don't need to meet with them and go over how the process works, how it's gonna do. And it's a script that I would have, like, just so you know, when we're doing a short sale, how much money do you have, would you make, where you can't make it? Here's what I recommend you do. Do not pay on the house, try not to pay on the credit cards, save the money, because that's the only money you're gonna get. And I don't care if the house is worth 400,000 or 4,000. If we sell it for $1, it doesn't matter. My job is to make sure that you don't owe that. You're gonna get a 1099 and a write-off as opposed to anything else, okay? You give it, forgive it. That's a long process, but
So you give that information to the bank, once you get it from the client, you go straight to the bank and you ask, can I do a short sale? Is that what you ask, call them?
to the bank,
Yeah. you
Yeah,
tell your
yeah.
bank that you're buying.
after I list the house, now I list it, and again, you think it's, we'll go back to Josh, and I don't want to keep going to you, but Josh says, no, my house is worth 400,000. Look, Josh, I know you think it's worth 4. You owe 6, so it doesn't really matter. You're never gonna collect 6 to pay your loan off, so because you're not, it doesn't matter if we sell it for $599, even at 600, let's say we sold it at 6, or we sold it at 200. You're gonna have to bring money to the table. So Josh, this is a short sale. We're gonna ask the bank to forgive you and you don't owe anything.
And we'll walk away with
So
anything.
I'll let you know if you can't walk away, if they make you sign some paper that you have to pay it back, like credit unions are the worst. So don't worry about what we sell the house for. Let me get it under contract. And just so you know, this takes forever. We'll probably lose the first buyer. Don't worry about the first buyer because they usually run, but by then we'll have an opinion, bank approved loan that we can sell a lot faster.
So the
And
first,
that's the
Now
whole
we don't have to
concept.
negotiate anymore. Now
So
we
the
can
first
say,
step
"Hey, we
is
got you what you
talking
wanted."
to the client,
The
then,
the seller, you have to get
the
the
seller.
seller to list the house and
and then
understand.
list the house, and then get all the paperwork to the bank.
Well, you
how
don't
long
give the
does-
paperwork to the bank until you get an offer on
And
the house.
okay.
Then you get the offer, get the paperwork, send it to the bank, give them a couple days to get it. Then they'll start doing their deal. They'll send out an appraiser and find out what the house is worth.
Okay,
As soon as someone doesn't make a house payment, within 30 to 60 days, they're paying someone to ride by and take pictures of the house. And as long as it looks lived in, the bank is not too concerned. When it looks vacant, then they're gonna start pressing to maybe winterize the house is what I call it. They go in and turn the water off, turn the faucets, lock everything up,
Put the
cut the
sticker on
power.
the door.
Because the last
Bigger.
time around, people just put their keys in an envelope, mailed it to the bank and said, I'm out, and they leave the house.
Yeah.
And so then the grass would grow, the utilities, we live in Florida, so mold, all the things.
Yeah.
So,
And just remember, when somebody's not making a house payment, they're probably not fixing anything either. So you go in a house and it was a little bit rougher than normal.
Now, if you're gonna do the listing, is it important that when you're negotiating with the bank, that you wanna make sure that they're, and I can't remember the actual term, but the deficit forgiveness letter from the bank is. I
Oh,
read
yeah,
the
that was
one
at the
where-
very end.
at the very
Yeah,
end, you want
because they
that
don't
letter
always do that.
that
They will
says,
sometimes hold a judgment against the seller.
Credit unions were 100% that way. That's why I never did a short sale on a credit union.
what he's saying is the bank might say, yeah, okay, sell it, we'll take it, we're done, blah, blah, blah. But now we're actually going to come after you to pay this 100,000 deficit, we'll work with you on it. So what he's talking about is the letter of satisfaction, saying this has been satisfied and forgiven, we are not coming after you for this. But that's done at the very end.
And you did raise a statement about the 1099. So when they get the 1099, that's taxable and.
Well,
Yes.
not if you get the write-off, because what happens, and again, I'm not an accountant, so I don't want to go too far, but if you own a business and if you have a loss, you're going to write it off, right? If you hire someone, you're going to write that off, correct? You have to give them a 1099 saying, I'm taking a loss, but he's making a profit. So if a bank is doing a loss, they have to send you a 1099 because they just wrote off a lot of money and they got to show a 1099.
So it could be taxable.
Yeah,
It
that's
could
why
be,
you want
that's why
that
you have to get that
letter,
letter.
that's why you wanna make sure you're gonna get that letter, so, cause that was a surprise to a lot of people, they're like.
And
Hi,
again,
Mandy, that's my reclaimer, man.
oh, hey,
Okay, cool. So that's like a little snapshot of short sales. When they start becoming prevalent again, we'll obviously go way
that's a
more
good
into
2-hour
it.
class.
Yeah, good 2-hour class, but I want you guys to be somewhat cognizant of what it is so that you can have intelligent conversations with people about it. So I figure we should start with how to find homes. I use a criteria, probably different than him, and we probably have a different approach. So I'm gonna start with you. How do you find homes and what kind of criteria do you use?
Right now, my main way of finding a home is when I go to a listing appointment. Gary Keller says, when you're at a listing, you should be asking yourself, do I want to buy this and can I buy it? That's what I do on almost 99% of my houses that I go on is, can I figure out how to buy this house?
So let's walk through a scenario where you just came to my house and we're gonna talk through how that looks and I'll be the potential seller.
Okay, well, I would ask you, where you moving, how you going, what do you need to do? Do you need to sell before you buy, or you renting, and all that stuff? You get all the questions ahead of time before I go, because I want to
Okay.
know that it's an active listing.
Okay.
And then sometimes, you want to give me numbers?
Sure.
Okay, just out of curiosity, what do you think your house is worth based on today?
Probably about 380.
Okay, and out of the 380, how much do you owe on the home about, ballpark?
Probably 300.
300, okay. So, and then I'm doing this so I can say, if we sell your house at 380, you're gonna walk away with, how do y'all do your math when you do I know you do a net sheet, right? Everybody does a net sheet?
Like 7%.
I do it on
Do
the
you do a
spot.
net sheet or
Yes.
do you do it on your head?
No, we did like an item.
On the spot, next sheet.
Well, that,
Okay.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
With an app.
Okay, so on this, what do you think 380 is? I do 9%.
I do 9%.
7.
I do 10% above.
9% is safe. if you're
10% of my
doing
head, but
costs
9.
And agents, commissions.
3,000.
So say 35,000. So, right, you're gonna have 35,000 in closing costs?
Mhm.
So how much are you walking away with?
45 to 45,
45,
55.
no,
45.
45.
So you're gonna walk away with about 45, Dana.
Okay.
Okay, so we sell that, sound good?
Yeah.
45 plus 35.
So, but I don't know if I could sell it right now because it has a 20-year-old roof.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
So now, right now, this 45's got my attention, right? Because she's gonna walk away and I'll explain why that has my attention. I'm gonna go, okay, just out of curiosity, we're talking about her selling and buying and whatnot. What is your payment ballpark?
About 1,500.
Okay, 1,500, is that taxes, insurance, everything?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. Now, while I have that, payment's 1,500. I find out what her house is, bed and baths, location. I look up rentals. And just since you're a real estate agent, not the seller, what's the rent rate over there?
Oh, gosh, they're paying like $18.50.
Okay, $18.50. So right now I can see a $350 profit.
I see an opportunity.
So far I'm seeing an opportunity. It's looking good. So now I'm gonna go out and I'll go talk to her. And if everything checks out, I have certain checks that I need. I'll say, hey, you know what? I think I can buy your house. I'm interested in buying your house. I want to make it a rental. Or, you know, I want to invest in your house and maybe we can do it that way. And then I'll go into my spiel if I think everything else checks out. Okay? And there's a lot more to it, but that's what I'm doing when I'm going on a listing appointment. Does that make sense? I'm doing my homework before I even see the house.
I do the same thing every time you guys come to me with a listing that you have questions about. And I'm like, well, tell me about it. And I'm literally analyzing it to see if I want to buy that listing. Right?
So-
You should be going to every listing, trying to investigate to see if it's a good opportunity for you to buy. Because if it's not, at least you're understanding why it's a good opportunity for a buyer to buy. It's going to help you market that listing.
And so then I will go in and decide if everything checks out that I can buy it and make money with it.
So he's finding them through listing appointments. Me, as someone who's not active in real estate every day, I'm doing this job, but I love flipping homes. I have to be a little bit more creative because I'm not out talking to potential sellers all day long. So I'm being very vocal that I am always looking for a project. So my agents bring me a lot of them. Ken's given me a bunch. Any agent I'm talking to about their listing, tell me about your listing, because that's how I'm trying to find those opportunities. But then I also go on Hubzu, HUBZU, Zone, XOME.com, and sometimes auction.com. You'll also find wholesalers, you know, all those signs that say, we buy homes. Those are wholesalers. They want to take that house at a price, sell it to someone, make like a 5% increase without doing any fixes or anything. I take my shoes off too.
I'm doing that.
Thanks a lot. You're welcome. So I'm always looking for those opportunities. So I'll call those numbers and be like, hey, I'm a flipper. I buy wholesale homes. Can you like send me a list? And I have a certain criteria that I'm comfortable staying in. It's adjusted slightly. Then you're out. So I've adjusted it slightly just because prices have gone up. So it used to be I wouldn't buy over 250. I've bumped that up to 300 now. So I like to buy homes 300 and less. I always assume about $35,000 in repairs, right? Roof, HVAC, flooring, paint. Of course, you're gonna go check the house, but you can assume, if you're doing a quick, like 5 seconds, I want to evaluate this project, assume $25,000 to $35,000 in repairs. I wanted to be able to sell and make me $20,000 after closing costs, real estate commissions and all of that. I don't want to do a project for less than $20,000 or $15,000. Now, some people won't do flips that will yield less than 30,000, 50,000. So that's how I was able to get a bunch, because I'm like, I'll do a flip for 15,000. That makes sense, you know? So 15,000 at least, preferably 20. And I also wanted it to be able to be a rental if I couldn't sell it and yield me at least $350 a month after everything is said and done. Right? So that was my quick analysis of any property. So you'll find what you're comfortable with. My thing is I keep it lower, under 300,000, because you don't have to put expensive repairs in there. And you don't need the expensive flooring. You don't need granite. You can get away with just like cleaning and painting a lot of stuff. When you start doing $500,000, $600,000 flips, totally more power to you. The return is closer to 100,000, but your risk is higher. Right? So you just find what you're comfortable with.
Yes, ma'am.
Starting out, were you guys using hard money or mortgages, like say your first flip?
We'll get on that creative financing, but for me, I use private lending. Hard money makes me scared because it's what if you can't sell it and you're now paying interest rates out the wazoo. So I used private investing, like people that would just lend me money. Also, I took out a HELOC on my main home because I had a lot of equity there. It's a home equity line of credit. They basically handed me $300,000. I can now use that to flip homes and just keep stockpiling it back in there.
If you don't have the money and don't want to get a hard money and you don't want to borrow from somebody or go into partnerships, then if you find a good deal, put it assignable and then sell the contract to somebody.
Essentially become wholesale.
Or you can just bring it to Ken and he'll write you a check right back.
Ah,
So, or you can market it to the agents in the office and say, I just want a finder's fee of set amount. I pay him finder's fees all the time, you know? All he had to do was find the project, hand it to me, I negotiate, I do all the things, and at the end, when it sells, I hand him whatever we agreed upon. But yes, if you do assignable, which is not common these days, but totally common for wholesalers, then you just shop it and find someone to buy it.
The guys that have signed, I buy houses, I buy this, there's a club called SREIA, S-R-E-I-A. S-R-E-I-A, and there's TBREIA, T-B-R-E-I-A. They're wholesalers there all the time.
it stands
You know
for
'em.
Tampa Bay Real Estate
And
Investment.
Southeast Regional,
Yeah.
they're all over, they're in every town.
Yeah.
REIA is the main, and they're in
Yeah.
every town, Atlanta, Miami. But those people will find houses, and there's also people like you looking for houses that meet there. There's a place called Advanta IRA that they have meetings every Friday that you can, if you have money to loan, they'll pair you up with somebody, or if you have deals and they'll pair you up with somebody with money. You meet somebody and you work it out. There's tons of options out there, but
We did that in one of your classes.
Yeah.
Put together a guy that had the money, and I remember actually we tried to do it.
All day long, there's always someone that can bring something to the table. So like my boyfriend is like general contractor work. He can do anything and everything. Doesn't have the money. I have the knowledge, and sometimes I have the money, sometimes I don't have enough, whatever. And then there's people that are like, I really don't know, I don't want to touch the project. I just want to make some money, 10% on my investment. It's a 10% return on a 60-day investment. So you can always match make, but that's how you find those partners, is that those.
more you do, more will come out. More will come out every day, and that's it. It's funny because it really happens. Like, I'm going to show you an example of what we started off with that, with these numbers and moving forward on how that works. But how to find them is call those signs. Now, just realize, just like you guys, when you get a call and says, hey, I'm thinking of selling my house, I'm thinking of listing my house, and I think I want to look at a house, and you find that they're really not a buyer or a seller, you quit calling them more than likely, right? Because you're wasting my time. Those investors are the same way.
Mhm.
If they feel like you're just not taking anything, they'll quit calling you. I got mail that comes in all the time.
Mhm,
Chris just looked at a house last night,
mhm.
night before. It's just that they'll come on, they'll come fast. You either take it or leave it, and
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't be slow to make your decision.
you
That's
have
why
to have your ducks in a row.
I had bought flips without actually even seeing them before, because if the numbers make sense enough and you just assume worst case scenario, full rehab, with your expenses, and it still leaves a huge window, I'll buy it. I'll put in an offer. The biggest thing too is like making sure the title's clear, but you can call your local title company that you do business with and say, hey, run a quick lien search on this. And they'll do it for you in 15 minutes.
And all the titles, close my deals too.
Now, when these quick ones like that, I've always wanted to ask you this. Do they give you a title insurance?
Yeah, if you give them 14 days to, actually, I've done one in 12.
If
Yes,
you pay for it.
if you pay for it. Now, if you don't go through that route,
Don't you always pay for it? You ever buy one without
Me?
title insurance?
Yeah, I bought a few without.
I think I got the one I did in Lake Bay, I think.
Once
risky.
It is risky, but
It
you
is
gotta know the person and the deal and what's going on, and then a lot of times you'll just want it. Like, I'll have the house inspected, but I don't want a printout. That's what I just need someone else eyes on the house, because I'm in love with the house. I want to buy it, so I'm overlooking things, right? So I want a third party just to walk through and say, how's everything? That's fine, you got this. Yeah, I knew that, so we're fine.
Ken and I get very excited and enthusiastic. We're like, we'll take it. Like, how many times have you come and told me basic scenario? I'm like, I got it, I want it. And then Sean, who's my black hat, will go in and be like, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I'm like, just buy it. So, yeah, you definitely need someone who's a little bit more abstract to look at it.
One of the recommendations I would make, and I'll come back and teach a class, I've taught the Remind class here before, and I'll come back and teach it again, but also essentially you're to find the people, you're trying to create a persona, right? Like there's a specific personification of person that is in this situation, right? So if you look for what criteria that is, typically they have not a whole lot of equity, right? Or maybe their balance of what they owe, if you don't know them, their balance of what they owe to what the house is worth is really low, right? Like these are typically the type of people that are going to be in that situation. So using something like Remine, a source where you can look for negative equity, right? You can look at people who are just buried in their house already. You can pull list pendants off of Remine. You can pull that list and you can pull those into an Excel spreadsheet and use that as your beginning, especially because a lot of you guys I know are new. So if you're looking for people to call, you're here to help people, right? So the people who need your help are people in this situation. And so you just make that little list and you just call through it. And most people, 99% of that list is not going to want your help, but you're just looking for like the handful of people on the list. I work off of that 1%. My whole career has been made off of a 99% fail rate. So it's,
Again, before I even got in it, I had a full-time job doing other stuff. We were buying houses and I found the houses by garage sales, estate sales. There was a guy working on a duplex. I knocked on the door and I said, hey, I see you're fixing it up. Are you renting it or thinking of selling? That's how I did my real estate business after I got a license. But he goes, no, I don't own it. I'm just doing the work. I said, what do you think the owner would sell? He goes, I don't know. Here's his name and number. You can call him. Called him. And I said, hey, I'd like to see if you want to sell your duplex. And he goes, no, but I got 12 units I want to sell, 12-unit building over here I want to get rid of. Oh, I'm interested in it. Tell me more. Give me the addresses, give me the location. What do you want for it? And worked out a terms and I bought it. But it was just by knocking on doors, finding who's wanting to sell. I like to find people before the real estate agent finds them. Because if it's on MLS, you already know there's a profit missing that I want it before then. So when you're at a listing appointment or for sale by owner or someone that says I buy houses, those are to me the best for my value. Now, I don't go to the courthouse. I won't do those because you really got to do your homework on those.
Yeah, I don't do those either. The garage sale and estate sale advice, huge, because I'm a garage sailor, so I know. And I would just start talking to people, I'm like, man, it looks like you're selling everything. And they're like, yeah, actually, we want to list our house. Oh, cool. Here's my card. I have like 400 agents. Give me a call and I'll get you with one of them. Almost always. It was crazy. And same with estate sales because someone passed away or whatever. So,
And like I told you, when your son, in my opinion, if he just wants to buy houses, don't get a license because you go to this. I want to buy your house before you list it and you'll save money. Well,
yeah.
and that's how I bought a lot of my houses.
That's why he hasn't finished the course yet, because he's like, he wants to go this route. He's like, we need to jump in. And I'm like, I'm just trying to figure it all out first.
Yeah, sometimes having a license will hinder you because it puts a wall up, right? That's why I always got referrals from it because I'm like, I'm not gonna list your house, but I have an agent that will, right? So it's a nice, easy approach. So let's say you find a house and you want to put an offer on it. Or no, let's say you find a house and you want to do a walkthrough of it to evaluate what those expenses, the repair expenses are going to look like. So let's walk through that because I think that's where most people get tripped up. They get nervous. And then they end up paying for the house and overpaying because the expenses they underestimated.
Before you do it, if you don't know how to fix stuff, you haven't fixed things, get your general contractor or get your handyman that's going to do the work to go through the house with you. Don't guess it on your own. Don't assume anything. Let someone that's doing the work, if it's you or if it's your handyman, do it. And there's several guys out there that you can find that'll do it. And that's where Sean will go out and look at it.
Oh, yeah.
But
Me and Sean I'll walk through a house with you because I've done it enough that, I can kind of guesstimate, but I always do worst case scenario. And you have to know your pricing too. So like, for instance, when I first started, I have Sean, so I'm spoiled because he can do a lot of things. But as we've done it, we've found vendors that we can outsource stuff to it's cheaper than him using his time. Like I have a floor guy now that will do laminate $2 square foot installed for product and installation. I'm like, I can't even buy it at the store for that. So it probably fell off a truck. I'm not sure. But I use him for every flip. And he's like, these are the colors I have. I'm like, I'll take it, whatever. And give it up.
I've got 2 carpet guys that'll do any floor for $2 a foot carpet wise.
Huge.
$2 a foot. It might be $2.10 a foot based on.
Carpeting?
Huh?
Who's carpeting?
Carpet pad installation.
So that's why you go to these investor classes because we share these contacts, right? But when you first start out, and he gave me this advice too, when you first start out, you're gonna pay more than you will after you do a couple flips with these guys. Like I have a roofer. I used to pay retail And I've given him so many roofs that now I pay whatever I basically tell them I think it's worth, you know? And and then you love on those people and you keep using them for everything and they'll start saying, well, you're a sure thing. So I'm gonna give you.
Plumbers, the only ones that I can't keep for very long. They go out after a year or two. I don't know.
Plumbers and electricians are hard.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why plumbers. It's like I have to get a new plumber every other year.
Yeah, but you'll find those, and you can call around, like, even if you call one of us one day and say, what's a good fair price flooring? And we'll tell you a number, and then you just call people and you say, look, I'm Flip Homes, I'm in real estate. I can send you tons of referrals, and I can also send you business that of my own. What's the best price you could give me for vinyl install? Just average vinyl, nothing fancy. And then you call a bunch of them, and whoever's the best price, you try them out. If you like them, keep building that relationship, just like real estate, right?
Mine, and it's funny because mine is I just need you in and out. I want my flip done in 2 weeks. I want everything done and put on the market 30 days tops because I don't know what the market's going to do. We know in the last 2 months it changed like a light switch, right?
Mhm.
I don't want my hand in the cookie jar trying to make a few extra bucks. So I want it in, done, on the market and out and good.
So he's good with in and out, and it's brilliant. Now I'm working, because he gets a crew in there, right? And they do their thing. I'm working with basically one person who's doing the entire flip themselves. So that's not realistic. So 30 days is where I like to hold it. But you think about it, if we get the flip, 30 days to fix, 30 days to under contract, 45 days, worst case scenario to close. A lot can happen in that time frame. So for that reason, I always have to have a plan B. Plan A, flip. Plan B, market's looking hot right now, but it's not taking this one, so I want to have a rental. It's going to yield me $350. I'll hold it for a year and then you know what I mean? So I always have to have a backup plan if the market switches on me.
always
So
have a plan B.
How do you
Always plan B.
decide when you're going in? I just went to a class, a 3-part class, so that's where these questions are coming because this was questions I had then. How do you decide between, red door, that's right. Between when you want to buy and flip the home versus when it's better to buy and hold onto the home.
Did you ever remember the story of the goose with the golden egg? Anybody? Because I hate to tell those stories. I feel like an old fart.
You are an old.
I am, but I feel it when
I just know that in Willy Wonka, the goose sled.
Okay, goose with the golden egg, old
Yeah.
farmers, right? And they were poor. He went to town, got a goose. He would lay a golden egg. Every day the egg would be laid. The guy would take it in. They'd have money to buy food. They lived happily ever after, except the wife got tired of doing this every day, said, let's kill the goose so we can dig out all the eggs and have it and we'll be rich. But they killed it and couldn't lay any more eggs because it was produced every day. I look at a rental as the goose with a golden egg. I'd rather keep that money coming in. I'd rather have it going up. I'd rather have it, and I'll run the numbers if you don't. What time do we have to end?
2-ish.
Okay.
Probably not gonna end on time, but we'll just talk till they take us out.
In my opinion, I'd rather hold them all day long, because if you flip it within 12 months, you have to pay 35% tax on it. I think it's going to 38.
Believe me,
If you-
I learned that this year. It's very.
Unless,
If you keep it for 12 months and 1 day,
right,
then you only pay 15%.
unless you roll that money directly into another
It
purchase.
becomes a-
But you can't, I don't think you can do it 1031.
Yeah.
If that's what you're
So
asking.
that's
Yeah.
when
Under 12
1031,
months?
like, kind
On any of,
changes
if
the
you
company.
don't realize the income, then there's no capital gain tax.
Move it to a
Okay.
lifetime
That-
property and avoid that. So.
To my
so that's
understanding,
different
that's the way it was
Yeah, I don't
explained.
life phases that we're at, because he's been doing this for 15 years. So
Yeah.
I made a goal last year of, I wanted to buy 5 properties and I wanted to flip quite a few of them and then end up with whatever. So he's very big on, I want to hold everything and then I'll sell it at the right time. I'm like, well, I can't be leveraged that much. I don't have that much.
Working capital, because you need that too.
I need
Right.
capital to do my next
Yeah.
project.
Push down when it comes to this, when soon as you
So
finish.
I would always be looking
Yeah.
just to flip, but then I was like, I'm making this 20, but it's still a lot of work. What does it look like long-term if I have some rentals and all that stuff? So I had a goal to buy 5. I bought 8 in 1 year. It was doing great. And then the market was going, and I'm not above investing in trailers. If it's an acre lot with a trailer, people want that. They can't afford single-family homes all the time. You can work on it without permits. If it's in the right area, they can have their work trucks, their RVs, their boats, and the cost of entry is so low. I bought a trailer on 2 acres in Plant City for $112,000 for a 3-bedroom trailer. I had to put $25,000 into it, and I rented it out for a year at $13.50 a month. And then I turned around and sold it for like 160 or 170. No, I sold it for 200.
Where
So
did you find that deal?
Turkey Creek from Amanda, from you. So
Right.
so when I had all these rentals, I was like, man, I'm leveraged pretty thick here. I've got 8 properties. You know, the market's shifting. I quit my job as a team leader, although I'm back. And so I was like, you know, I need to dispose of some of these properties. So I looked at each one and I thought, in a down market, which of these properties is going to be the hardest to sell? My trailers, right? Whereas right now, people just buy anything and they're not going to be doing inspections. They're not going to care for repairs. They just want these houses. So I sold all 3 of my trailers, made 50, 60 grand on each of them. And now I just stockpiling that money for the next time the
But
market
you
goes
could have
down.
them more than 12 months.
But I kept them more than 12 months except for one, and I paid the price on that one, but, because Winter Haven. But now I have assets that even in a down market, they're single family homes, they will sell for more than I paid for them, and they're healthy rentals. So any of your riskier properties, those will be the first ones you sell in the hot market.
So if I can use you, if I'm buying a house as an investor, it's 20% down, right?
Oh, we can actually do 15%.
Okay, let's do 15 then. Let's do 15. Can you tell me what a payment would be if I put 15% down? Can you
Put 15%.
ballpark it?
Now, that 15% on an investment property,
Yeah, that's,
what? That's awesome.
so cash, 380,000, right? It rents out, what did you tell me, 1850?
1850.
Who works rentals?
We're putting 50
How many bedrooms?
2,000
4.
332.
4.
That would be more than 2 then.
I know,
It's
but,
Bellevue,
but
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
but it's 2-bedroom condos are going for 1,800.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I'm a
no, I'm
nice
just saying. That's why we have to do the math before
Yeah.
we go out. You know, she's doing that, we're doing our math, but let's just go with her 1850 for now. On a 4-bedroom, we know we can get more.
Yeah.
You know, you can do
You
that.
could go 25
Okay,
or
Okay, so
23.
1850
Yeah.
times 12, somebody with a calculator, 1850 times 12.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Where did you come up with the 18?
It was just, I
And
was
that-
here outside, it's just a rental amount that I have on.
That scenario that we had at the bottom, were you in here when we did the scenario?
Yeah.
20,000.
Okay, she said,
How much?
she said it would rent for 18.
Oh, the rent.
Yeah, so that's the rent.
What, how much?
22,200.
22,200. Now, we're doing gross because we're just grossing this. We don't know taxes, insurance, anything else. So if you invested 380,000 and you made 22,000, how much is that on your return? If you pay
So
cash of
22.
380,000,
So 22, 200 divided 12%.
About 6.
6% interest on your money.
Yep.
Now, if the house goes up 5%, if the house goes up 5, what's 5% of 380? 38 plus minus that is 19,000.
So the house appreciated in
Right.
that year.
So now you made 5% on that, right? Went up and you made 6% here, because you made 19,000 here and 22,000 here. So you made 41,000 on a $380,000 investment.
In 12 months.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So 11% return in
All
12
right, I
months.
need you to go over that again. I'm so sorry. But then you're.
So he's buying a house cash.
Okay, cash.
I put in cash. I'm gonna rent this out for 12 months. That rent is gonna equate to this amount here,
1850 monthly rent times 12 is 22,000.
which is a 6% return on my original investment. But also during that year, the market appreciated and this house went up in value by about 20,000 and I can now sell it for 400. So I collected rent all year. Now I'm selling it at a $20,000 profit. When you run those numbers, it's an 11% return on your original investment in 12 months.
And the math on it is what you divided it 22.
So we took 1850 times 12 months. That's gonna do that.
5%.
To find your percentage of increase, you take this number, the smaller number, and divide it by the original investment.
Okay.
Okay, so you would do 22,000 divided by 380,000. That's gonna show you what percentage that increase is, which is 6%.
I guess, and then you have that capital
Barbecue grills.
allow you to buy another house.
If you want,
Exactly.
but let's just
Now
go
you
with
have
this
it
right
in
now. Okay,
So that would either assume that you did nothing to the house when you bought it, or you bought it. and
Correct.
You just rented
We're
it
just
out.
showing-
Yeah.
all this is showing you the difference between paying cash
Gas and
and
charcoal.
So you started as a rental property, then you sold it after a year, and that
Yes.
avoided the capital gains tax. So rent
Or you
it.
don't
and
But,
it's-
but see, I would.
Or you don't
I'm
sell it.
telling you, I'm
He
telling
will
you.
do it forever,
Right.
because
But don't
he's gonna learn, he's gonna do, well, if I made 11% in 1 year,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make 11 or 15% next year,
Every
and
year
the
I'm
market
giving you
needs
more
to go
money.
up.
Every year.
I
But
have a question on this.
well, what,
I'm sorry.
can we hold the question?
Yeah.
Because I want to get this done first.
Right?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay, so this is 11% paying cash. What's the payment on
About 2,000 plus taxes and insurance.
2,000? No, not tax and insurance, just principal and interest.
Yeah, principal and interest and PMI mortgage insurance, because we're just putting 15% down.
Okay, then we want to put
About
20,
$2,000.
we want to do 20%.
It's not much less than that.
So 2,000,
Let's say
just so easy
2,000.
numbers.
Okay,
We could have better rent.
you gotta have better rent. This is
Right.
not gonna work out. It's not gonna, but let's just say you put 2,000 down, or not 2,000, you're making 2,000 a month in payments, that's 24,000 in expenditures, right? But you just collected 22,000 in rent.
Well,
So
realistically.
now you're
I-
negative
I-
It doesn't
$2,000,
matter, because
Right.
the market's not always gonna be high,
right?
right?
Agree.
So this is about the long game versus the short game. It's not about the actual,
Yeah, but just to make it competitive, then if you do a loan, you have to increase that rent because you're not gonna.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
but
right.
we're-
lose money.
yeah, this is just a snapshot.
This is
but-
just a snapshot. This is not a
Gotcha.
house. This is
Yeah.
just numbers. Right? So this is negative 2,000. We're losing on this house.
Because you're paying out 2,000 a month.
But you only have, how much is 15% that we did down or 20%?
20%.
Yeah, I mean, with 20% down, we're talking about the loan balance being 304.
Yeah, but
How much
but
down?
but you're, but
76,
76,000? You put down 76,000?
76,000 down.
Okay, so now you have a $76,000 investment. Here you have $380,000 investment. The house is still gonna go up 5%. How much did you make over here? 19,000,
Same 19.
same 19. Difference is how much, if the house went up 5%, how much did you make on your money? You invested 76,
Plus 2,000 a month.
no,
right?
76, but you made 19,000 in increase, right? It increased 19.
Right.
You
So
minus
what's the interest
3,000.
rate? What's the percentage? If you invested 76 and it went up to increase,
So 76 plus
25%.
19.
huh?
5%.
You just made 25% on this house, even though you lost $2,000.
How did you?
But
come
here
to
you
that
made
25%?
11%.
How did you do the math on that?
Because-
90,000 divided by
I just
76,000.
did that and I got 31%.
I can tell you it's over 20%.
Okay,
I can tell you it doubles what this is.
6,000.
Yeah.
Is this, are y'all,
Yes.
we're getting sidetracked. Stay on the narrow
He's
path
saying-
here real
He's
quick.
saying for a smaller amount of an
25.
investment,
You get higher.
you get a higher return.
Huge
because
return.
You have a smaller amount
Yeah.
tied up. But your
Yeah.
return is gonna be almost the same if the house appreciates, because the mortgage payment is minimal.
Wouldn't, to be more accurate though, wouldn't you take the 3,000 off of the 19 and
This is
instead
a
of
2.
That's a two.
That's a 2.
It depends on if it's.
Take the 2 off of what?
off of the 19,000? Because
So you have
that-
like
You can do
$24,000.
that.
that
if
way
you
it'd be a
want.
little more accurate.
You could do it that way, 17. Okay, what's
It's gonna be
17,000?
close to that anyway.
It is,
Yeah.
it's so,
You're gonna make
Okay,
more
so
money
it's still
by
like
using
22,
other
23,000.
people's money,
22.5.
So it's
rather
still-
than tying up all
okay,
the.
she did 22% over here, double what this is.
Right.
For instance,
Okay, so,
And let's
so
have-
this isn't still the best deal, right? What happens, we're gonna go back to you, what's your name or what's your name?
Sally,
Sally, on your house, let's just assume we sell it for 380,000, you know you're only gonna walk away with 45,000.
this is back to that original conversation.
Remember that conversation?
Yes, I remember, 45 grand.
How about I buy your house and you don't have to show it, don't have to fix anything, and we don't know we're gonna get you 380. I hope to do. That's my intent is to get you 380. What happens if I paid you 50,000 now? $5,000 more. We don't have to
That's
go
what I
through
was gonna
anything.
ask for. Beat me to it.
I'll give you 50 grand. I'll buy your house. We'll close in 2 weeks. You can stay in here for another 30 days. If you let me borrow your mortgage for a couple of years.
Ooh, wait, that last part, how, is that legal?
Yes.
Seller financing is
No, I'm gonna borrow.
Wait
for
for
mortgage.
this, he taught me this, I did it once.
subject to.
So wait,
Yeah.
how is that legal? Wait, I have a mortgage and won't the bank tell me I owe all the money right up front, how am I gonna
Well,
give you my mortgage?
Here's the thing, I'm gonna borrow your mortgage. In your contract, when you signed, it said that if you change the name of the deed, partial or in whole, they have the right to call the loan.
Right, call the
Okay.
loan means, hey, you owe
You-
it
you have to
all
pay
upfront
everything.
now. Okay, that's calling a loan.
And if I say anything wrong, fill me in.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
No, fill me in. 'Cause it's- we're right, so-
Actually, poke holes in this if you can for us.
Okay, so I wanna borrow your mortgage, let me borrow it for like 2 years, and within 2 years, I'll either sell the house or I'll refinance it. I may do it sooner, but I need 2 years to do this, and I'll get you the 50 grand now. And your thing is wait, it's going to mess up the bank. No, the bank is okay as long as you're current. Well, what happens if you don't make payments?
Yeah,
That's the
what
next
if
question.
you don't make a payment?
Well, here's the thing, I just gave you 50 grand.
Okay,
If I don't make the payments or the bank calls a loan, I could lose that 50 grand, so I am at risk.
and I can check each month that you're making the payments, because I can go online. Okay.
So
okay.
we're both at risk, because I could totally ruin your credit on this house.
Yeah, so I
But-
guess I can't buy a house for a few years, but that's good, because I was planning on renting, because I have to relocate, right?
Or you
So
move it in your spouse or whatever.
they can't be going to buy another house.
Okay,
They
yeah,
need
that
to
makes
have.
sense, but they need
so-
the money.
Well, they need this out of their credit, because this is gonna be showing up on their credit.
Mhm.
So.
So it
but-
needs to be someone that's not going to buy another house.
For the amount of time that you need.
Can you say that again about the credit? What did
Well,
you
this
say?
is gonna be on their credit,
It's gonna
right?
show
So
up
they're
on their
not gonna
On
be.
their credit.
Their credit, not my
Correct,
credit,
not
their
yours.
credit.
I had all the same questions you guys have right now,
Yeah, but
but I'll walk you through the scenario
So-
that I did.
she agrees, we do some paperwork, I buy the house goes in my name. I make her mortgage payments, she signs papers saying that she understands that she's still liable for the mortgage. I will make the payments and we can negotiate everything. Houses are out there. Every house that you look at is an opportunity. You, as a professional, makes
Connections.
not the connection, you make the transaction. You're in control. The transaction is where you make the money. Finding the opportunity is one thing. How you structure the opportunity is where you make money. This is the tough part that will be hours long of me talking to you. It's not what you see, it's how you buy it. Don't get confused in anything else. I'm gonna jump back just for a split second. Only in real estate is the only thing you can invest in and not buy at 100%. Stock, you have to put 100% down unless you do puts and shot, whatever. Gold, bonds, anything you have to pay 100%. Only in real estate can you leverage. Leverage is key. So with that said, if you learn how to make terms, you can buy almost anything as long as the party is willing and I'm willing.
So let me walk you through this scenario, because he taught this to me and I was like, really? I want to try this, because I'm a big advocate of the less amount of money we have to put in, the better, right? I have a fixed amount I can play with, 300. And I use that to buy 8 houses, right? With creative financing and all the things, because I use my HELOC as my down payments. So he came to me with one house, Lake Bay, right before COVID, okay? So Lake Bay, these people needed to move. They were relocating out of state. They were going to rent wherever they were going for at least 2 years. Their home was beautiful, but needed updating, painting, flooring, a roof, and possibly an AC, I can't remember. If they sold the home as it was, they would have netted $20,000, okay? He said, Dana, I got one for you. So I went in, I looked at the home. They wanted me to hand them $20,000. It was gonna need about let's say $30,000 in repairs. He introduced us. I said, look, we're both equally at risk here. I'm handing you $20,000. I'm going to fix all the repairs. I'm
I have
gonna
a
pay your
brother.
mortgage every month.
Yeah, he's a little older. He's a year older.
It's God.
Can you mute whoever that is? I'm gonna promise you, I'm gonna pay the mortgage every month. You can go verify that every month. If I keep paying, the likelihood of the bank flagging this and saying, hey, we want to call the loan is really unlikely, right? Because they're getting their money. What I need you to do is keep your insurance. I'll pay for all the things. So I go in, I put the $25,000 in, and I sell the house for a certain amount. After all costs and everything said and done, I just netted $45,000.
And you had a $25,000 investment.
I had a $45,000 investment.
So you,
To fix
so-
the-
45,000 to buy them out, to do the fixes, 45,000 in, did all the things, sold the house, netted 45,000, I can't remember.
So she.
Had I waited 2 months, I would have made 60 to 70,000, because that's when the market went right before COVID. I was getting nervous because I was like, COVID, I don't own this, like I own this house, but it's kind of weird. I don't want to keep making a mortgage payment. So I sold it, but I should have held it for 2 more months. But shoulda, coulda, woulda. I got out, it was clean. The one mistake I learned on this one is I was not clear enough with the owner that he had to keep the insurance going. So I didn't fact check that. So we got forced insurance placed on the property because he canceled his insurance policy. The lender said, hey, there's no insurance. They put forced insurance
But
on
the
it.
house was in your name?
Mhm.
His insurance wouldn't have paid anyway.
Or, yeah, the name changed, so the insurance canceled, so it got forced
So
insurance.
how do you go about doing the insurance?
You buy your own insurance.
You buy your own
You can
insurance.
go buy insurance.
That's the
You own
lesson
the
I
house,
learned
buy
from
it.
that one.
What documentation do you do for something like
Well,
that?
I'm on the title. I'm on the title.
mortgage
We
lender is a
legally
deed on the title.
legally transferred, the title company legally did the closing. I owned the house, right? But I just paid him $20,000 for the house.
But that's different from the borrowing, or is that what you call the
No,
borrowing?
same.
No, it's the
Same
same
thing.
thing. I just paid
I
the
need to learn a
mortgage.
little bit more.
What happened is we have jumped all over this. We went
Yeah.
from.
We'll
Pee
bring
Wee
them
League
back and
to-
dive
to
into each of these
Major
things.
League.
We just want you guys thinking about some of these creative, like, this is why you go to the investor classes. There is so much opportunity out there. And we get excited and start talking about all the crazy things you can do. But you guys, like, these are the opportunities that are gonna come around.
You see, I thought we were talking about short sales, so I didn't prep for
Yeah.
this. So
I thought you were talking about whatever they wanted to talk about.
I know you did, I know, but what you're saying is accurate. So
Yeah.
we went back to her and we still talking to her and said, look, man, Kelly.
Sally.
Sally, terrible. I'm gonna buy your house and I'm gonna give you 50,000. You can check at any time.
Okay.
Again, this is now, we're gonna get sidetracked. And she goes, I don't know if you're gonna make the payment. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pay your house 3 months in advance. I'll always be 3 months in advance. If I ever drop below 3 months, call the bank and tell them I have a problem.
Okay.
Or, so you negotiate. But I buy it at 50,000, I have a lot less than I had to 76. I take over the payments, I don't have to close, there's a lot of less closing fees because I just borrowed and transferred. And you and I know we're gonna get more than that. So this house is now a valid house for me, and I would try everything to buy her house. Like one house I went to list, he had to sell for 300,000. If he sold it for less than 300,000, he'd have to bring money to the table. We tried it on the market for 3 weeks. I said, how about if I just buy your house? He goes, well, I said, yeah, but I'm gonna borrow your mortgage for 2 years. So I'll buy the house. I'll buy it. You can move on because he's already in Pennsylvania. And I'll just take over the payments. We do this. And it took him like 2 weeks because everybody and their brother says, ooh, I don't know. I said, well, just look it up. It's called subject to. You mentioned it. Look up subject to. It's out there. It's weird. Not everybody knows about it. He looked it up. He goes, Ken, I'm going to trust you. Everything looks good. We're going to do it. 6 months into it, he wants to buy a house after all because he wanted just to rent for 2 years. Ken, I want to buy a house, man. Can you? I said, well, what funny part is I'm actually trying to refinance it and put it in my name because it just takes a long time. It takes, when you own more than 4 houses, the banks really don't like looking at you, right? So that's why I don't like going to banks. So bottom line is I said, look, I'll try to do it. His loan officer up there said, just have Ken show proof that he's making the payments and we're going to count it as a rental. He got to buy his house up there. The mortgage was still in his name.
Brilliant.
We closed. He was
Do you usually
happy.
Use the profit statement from, like, the profit statement from the rental as income.
I don't know what he did.
Top of the
I don't know what he did.
Yeah.
I just know what I did. But I bought this house. I bought the house at 300. Really and truly, I bought it at 274 because that's what he owed, because that's what the closing costs would be, would bring him to 274. So I bought the house. So I automatically got 25,000 of equity in the house. I kept the house. His payment was 1676 or 1767 right there. I've been renting it out. It's now 2,600 a month. So if you do 2,600 from 17, you're 900 a month I'm making with a zero investment. I'm not sure if I'm making money, but my accountant likes it, right?
Ken, is this what we would have called back in the day, a contract of sale or a wraparound?
A wraparound is where she owes 300,000. She wants the 380. I don't have the 45 to give her.
Right.
I tell you what, we're gonna do a wraparound. I owe you 45 grand. I'm gonna make a payment to you for 200 bucks a month until I pay you off.
Oh.
So.
You keep the mortgage. That's a
So for
wraparound.
people that don't have 45 grand.
Done in California. I bought my first house like that.
There are so many ways to buy houses that people,
Yeah, unrecorded or recorded.
Yeah.
So title changes is recorded, which it gets scary because the bank can call it if they.
Yeah.
the
They
12,
can call it, and that's what makes everybody equally at risk.
Right.
The seller is at risk that you won't pay their mortgage. The buyer is at risk that tomorrow they might tell me I owe $380,000. So everybody's got a little, and I've got like $45,000 I just handed them at risk too. So everybody's got to be like really on the same page. There's contracts that are signed.
I will let you know a secret. They've never called a loan. If they call a loan, it's because they have to foreclose to call a loan. That's thousands of dollars, 6 months way down. You have months and months and months
To sell, to do whatever.
to sell it, dump it, refinance it, or whatever you want. They've never done it, but they can't. Those apartments that I bought, the 12 units, I had no money out of my pocket because I talked to him to hold a promissory note and do the other. So I had money over here, promissory note over here, and I bought them for 600. And rental properties, you know, are sold based on what the rent roll is, right? You have to rent. So I went in, I fixed a few of the houses, they're townhomes, fixed a few, raised the rents, and I sold them the next year for 900. So I made 300 grand by holding them a little over 12 months, but fixing them up and raising the rents, and I had no money in them. Because buy on leverage is the way to do it if you just get creative on how to buy. And that guy was so funny because I was so new at it. I had to go to my class book and read what's a promissory note, because, you know, I knew promissory is how to do that. So I wrote a 1 paragraph. And if you know my writing,
Pretty
it sucks.
Yeah.
In fact, it was real close to your guy that wrote about the 90-day.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been my handwriting.
The 90-day escrow.
Yeah.
So I wrote this note, and this man, it's actually Mr. Curry, Curry Controls in Lakeland, if you know all his buildings. It's Mr. Curry, because I let the man pass, but he gets my promissory note. He goes, "You either the most ballsy guy I've ever met, or you think I'm a dumbass." Something like, I think this was his words. He goes, "I'm not taking that." He sits down in his chair, opens his drawer. He goes, "Here's my attorney. He'll write it up." And so I bought that with no money, but going to the bank.
And for those of you in the room that are saying, well, I don't have $45,000 for, you know, whatever, you don't have to.
You don't.
Some people will take 5 grand. It all depends on what they would net from the sale of their home. Some people will take nothing. They just are so desperate, they're out. I'll take over your mortgage payment. Sign your house to me. I'll take over your mortgage payment. When I sell it, I'll give you 5 grand.
But you
Or
don't,
nothing.
you don't say sign your house to me. Let me,
Obviously.
I know.
But you, or you can get creative, like I'll pay your mortgage and I'll give you $1,000 a month and we can do this. You need to move, you're getting relocated or divorced or whatever. You can't sell your house as is. It has a 20-year-old roof, needs HVAC. Let me be your hero. Let's do it legally. And like, I've seen you do it for like 3 grand. Here's 3 grand, boom.
We had one over in Temple Terrace. We went there to list the house, and I said, in your condition, you need to fix this, this, and this, if you really want this. I don't have the money to fix it. I don't have time to fix it. We need to be in another state. I said, well, have you thought I want to sell it as is? Yeah. I said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll buy it. We'll buy it. Now, just know, right now, you're only going to walk away with about 2 grand if you can get away with 2 grand.
All the moms have to leave to go pick up kids.
You know, that's why they have,
I say for coming in.
that's why they have bushes behind it.
Saida's rookie of the year, too. Killing it. Bye.
Thank you. So anyway, I said, we'll buy the house. And we bought the house. We gave her a check for $2,500. She got to live in it for 90 days free, so she could figure out how to get up there. She moved in 60. We went in, fixed it up, and put 13 in it. The guy that did the repairs was willing to wait 2 weeks until we could sell it. We sold it for 190 and change. So we made roughly about 80 grand, give or take, on a $2,500 investment. There was one lady that had to write me a check for 11,000. I said, I'll buy your house, but you know, honestly, you're upside down. I can't buy it. You'd have to bring money to the table. How much? I said, 12 grand. Okay, I'll bring 12 grand.
And you.
And
I get it out.
Wow.
I'm
There's a-
telling you, people are in desperate situations. and they
You'll
don't want
find them.
foreclosure.
Find them, they're everywhere if you just keep your eyes open and know how to buy them.
There's a podcast out there that people might be interested. It's called Bigger Pockets. And they talked about one gentleman bought a multi-million-dollar apartment complex. And he did it with basically no money down.
Yeah.
And the way he did it was he put in a down payment amount, but he broke it down into monthly payments to the guy. So he made the man payments, but the payments actually came from the rent he was getting from, you heard that one too?
No,
Oh.
that's exactly how.
And
I
so
would do it.
basically the renters paid the down payment and he ended up with the property with not a dime of his own money in it. And then turned around and sold it, made a fortune off it.
These two books
CBD.
teach you subject to, promissory notes, wrap notes.
Yeah.
These, I mean, they just have them. This is the same thing that I used to pay to go to classes for. You can literally get them here.
The thing that he just was talking about with the buy it for like 45,000, do the, I think it's page 42 in the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book. I think that's where they talk about exactly that,
Yeah.
how to do that.
Our last investment class that we had on the 17th, August 17th, we had a guy come in. He's a real estate agent. He just bought 50 units with, he said no money out of his pocket. I don't know, but he bought 50 units. You weren't in there.
No,
Yeah.
I was real estating that day.
Real estate. The other thing I've always wanted to do within our office or within the investor group, I have certain people I partner with. I'll always partner with Ken or anyone he recommends, and there's a couple other people at the other office, but sometimes people don't have money to bring into the table, but they have trade work that they can do. They have connections with vendors. There's always something you can bring to the table. But I've always wanted to start a REIT, a real estate investment trust within the people, within the office, where people can all throw in 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever. And then all of a sudden you can start investing. You do 1, put the profits back in, 2, put the profits back in, and then you can start.
Do you know anyone that owns an old 401 or an IRA account from a previous job? If you don't have it, do you know of anyone that quit a job
My
and still has money?
ex-husband took ours.
You,
I've
What,
got
you have one?
401k.
Huh?
Well, I've got 401k from a previous job, and I haven't swapped it.
You don't have to. Here's the neat thing.
Oh, yeah, listen to this.
There's a company called Advanta. There's other companies, Advanta IRA here in Tampa, the one I gave you earlier. You get your money, you put it over there. It's protected. And they're your investment company. The neat thing is now you're the CEO of your investment. You tell them where that money goes. They don't move it until you tell them. Now it's tax-free. You grow it all you want. Chris wants to borrow money from you. You loan it to him at 10 or 20%, or y'all go in investment and y'all go in this house deal. And when you sell the house, the money goes right back to your Advanta account, tax-free. So now your account went from here to here to here, tax-free, and you get to control it and invest it. You can't loan to up or down your family tree. You can't loan to your parents and you can't loan to your kids, but you can loan to your siblings. You can loan it secured or unsecured. And we do it all the time. So you just have the money sit over there tax-free. You get to put it and move it or however you want. If somebody in this room needs 10 grand, you could loan it to them at 45% interest or go into partnerships with them.
It puts you in control of your 401.
Total control of your
And,
money.
and we're in real estate. We
But does
know
the
that.
advantage charge you for taking that money out?
Yeah, I think
mean,
it's,
You know, like, just like
Yeah.
your 401k charges you.
Yeah, it's not like a penalty that you get with the
Yeah, I think
401k or any of that. It's a
It's
minimum.
like
I think it's $8,
administrative fee.
$8.50 a month, I think is what they charge when the money leaves.
I think so, but I'm gonna let him, I haven't
But
done
you don't
this yet.
pay.
What?
If you have
taxes
money
on
with
the
Fidelity,
increase. So if it goes
and you
from
move your
40,000 to 100,000,
401k,
it's still tax free.
When
That's
you're at
the
a
key, because
company,
it's
they-
But when
30%
you move
savings.
the money out,
But if you left that company, it's up to
You're not paying the
you can move to wherever
20%,
you
are you?
want.
yeah, that's what
Oh,
I'm worried
you
about.
doing what now?
If you move the money
I'll
out
have
to
to start
someone
from Linda. I'll have to start.
for.
You're only, you're not pulling it up, you're only, it's different. It's double check with them, because I don't know, that- I never did.
So the advantage.
So you're
I got
still-
an argument with the company. I got some guys though.
What you can do then is you can pull out as much as you're legally allowed. You'll pay, you pay the interest back to yourself.
Right, man.
Take that cash out and go put it at Advanta and then start an account there and
And
use
then
that and pay yourself.
start
back.
If you do it as a
Other stuff.
loan, then you don't have a penalty on it as you would if you did it as a withdrawal. I know
Instead
this
of-
because during the pandemic, my husband, well, when when the election happened, he's like, I don't know what's happening to the stock market. He pulled out as a withdrawal, $100,000.
And paid the penalty.
No, it's a withdrawal, so there's no penalty.
No,
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 that's all you do. If you do.
Oh, I thought you said you did a loan.
no,
he did
if
a
you
loan.
do, and my accountant said, why didn't you just do a loan?
Oh.
Because now you're gonna have to pay a shit ton of taxes on this plus the penalty.
Well, the
That's-
penalty is
yeah,
10%
I-
taxes.
Still,
And you have to
can
pay
do
that.
minimal
Yeah.
payment.
So if you've done it as a loan,
5
you
years,
don't
so-
pay taxes, not penalties.
no penalty whatsoever. And you don't pay taxes on it
Right,
because you're borrowing it.
but it has to be as a loan.
It has to be as a loan.
And not all of them will do that though, am I correct? Not all those, they all do?
So, yeah.
I think it depends, but okay.
If you don't
Yeah,
work
talk to me.
for that company anymore, let's say where you have like mine is sitting in Empower.
Yeah.
I no longer work for the firm
Let me see.
and I no longer
You
receive
should.
any profit
Oh, he
sharing.
does have
You
firm.
can't borrow against the money. You
sure?
could only withdraw.
You never
I
have.
no longer work for them.
Oh, here's.
I know,
So,
but are you sure?
I have
Because
to
not all of them are set
withdraw
up.
the whole, I can't borrow from myself.
Yeah. Sorry, we ran late. In case you want.
It's from a previous employer.
Thank you.
Right. I can't borrow from myself.
Now, I can tell you, what's your name?
Anna.
Anna, okay. Anna brought up, she can't borrow, like if you go in the IRA account and you put it, you put it over in Avanta, you can't borrow to yourself, but if you have a corporation you own or corporation, you can loan to your corporation.
Yeah, what I was referring to was my 401k plan.
Right.
Because it belonged to the law firm I worked for. I can't borrow from it. If I want my money, I have to withdraw it because I am no longer working for them.
Right, but you can move it.
Oh, yeah.
You can move it and
Actually,
move it
yes.
to Advanta.
Right.
Now you can withdraw it. And when you withdraw it, technically,
Scary move.
when you withdraw,
I like to be in control of my money.
when you,
Me too.
all right,
Absolutely. That would be.
So I know we went over a little bit, guys, but was this beneficial to you?
Oh,
Did it
yeah.
get you guys thinking a little bit about this?